Hey.
I mean...
A lot of interims in the league. I thought it was appropriate, right?
You're unbelievable. You're unbelievable. You know, I got a sneak peek at the hierarchy prepping, but I didn't know what you were going to say. And I was like, oh, Colin finally landed where I knew he would land eventually. I thought it was going to take until next week. Because the Chiefs do, I know they are coming off a bye, but as are Philadelphia, and they play the Eagles on Monday Night Football in Kansas City in 6 days. And I promised you that when the Chiefs win that game, that's when you would have them number one. But I was so pleasantly surprised that you had done it a week early. You had tried to circumvent any criticism. And then your explanation for why they are the best team in football was just things they do poorly. You were like, they are number one. Here's what they stink at. That doesn't make sense. All right, it's half a victory for me, I suppose. But yeah, so we're not all of a sudden trusting Lamar and the Ravens more than Patrick Mahomes. And what's up with Colin? I'm just curious. Are you going to still like the Bengals to make the conference championship game when they miss the playoffs? Like, I believe in Joe Burrow as well, but they do have to get in the tournament, which right now they're underdogs to do.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't trust Pittsburgh. I don't know what to make of it. You know, I mean, listen, I do think we could admit it's the best division in football in terms of, Pittsburgh's the worst team in my opinion, and that's a really good roster. That's a really nice roster. They just don't have the quarterback. I will say this. Eagles-Chiefs play on Monday. Philadelphia is a fascinating team because they just grind you down. They're like a baseball team that's just got – they're flawed, but their number 7 hitter has power, and you're like, eventually they just get hits, and they figure out a way, second, third time around. Like, I like Philadelphia, but I do think I watch them, and I'm like, I know they're going to win. It's not – what do you make of it as a Chiefs guy?
I'm impressed by it. I think the point you made about Roseman's roster construction is a smart one. They are super deep. They have either the best offensive line or the second best offensive line in football. They either have the best defensive line or at worst the third best defensive line in football. I love how aggressive they are. I know we only talk about fourth down decisions when they don't work. We just watched an awesome Lions-Chargers game. They went 7 of 8 on fourth downs. Nobody said, the nerds are ruining football. Everyone's like, that game was awesome. Philadelphia goes for fourth downs at a rate we've never seen in NFL history, and it gives them a decided schematic advantage. I think Jalen is having a good, not a great year, but I think he is a great leader, and I trust him as more than any other quarterback in that conference. My concern for them is very simple. If they have to go, like we know, Dak Prescott can cut up that secondary. I believe the Lions, because the Lions can block them up, can cut up that secondary. If they were to make it to the Super Bowl and face the Chiefs hung 38 points on that secondary in last year's Super Bowl. I know that was a drastically different Chiefs team because checks notes, that team had Juju Smith-Schuster, and otherwise it's the exact same team. So listen, I am really impressed by Philly, and ugly wins are wins, and to be the only one-loss team is a hell of an accomplishment. I still think defensively they only have one way to beat you, which is, win the line of scrimmage. If you can hold up there, I think they can be had on the back end. And last point, Colin, I do think if you look at Detroit's schedule, man, I don't know if J-Mac has a bet in on this. I bet this a couple weeks ago, Detroit to get the 1 seed. If they end up getting the 1 seed and have it all go through Ford Field, I think Detroit is a live, viable contender to win the NFC.
So I'm going to throw this at you. I was thinking about this during the commercial break because, this thing never shuts off, just going 1,000 miles an hour. And I was thinking about it. So if I go to high school, college, and pro career with Josh Allen, there's only about a 2 to 3 year stretch when he wasn't out of control. And that coach is gone. And like anything in life, there's about 4 great NFL coaches and 4 great offensive coordinators and 5 or 6 great quarterbacks and 6 great receivers. The percentage of people who are great at anything, Wall Street to Silicon Valley, is a small percentage. And I thought to myself, maybe Nick Wright is right. Is that you can't use Brian Daboll and say that's what he is. You can say Brian Daboll was the exception. What he really is high school, college, and the rest of his pro career, which is just a wildly talented guy that's sort of out of control. Is that nuts?
Yeah. No, of course. I mean, you mean is the take that I've had for the last 4 years nuts? No, I actually strongly agree with my own take that I was yelled at and mocked for.
Yes.
I had to deal with the indignity, Colin, of folks having this opinion. Nick, you don't actually believe those things about Josh Allen. You're just threatened by Josh Allen. We had to go through a whole cosplaying of Mahomes Allen. It's the new Brady Montana. Even though the idea behind Brady Montana was one guy has the rings, the other guy has the MVPs, when in Mahomes Allen, the same guy who has the rings has the MVPs and is undefeated against the other in the playoffs. But I digress. Here's the thing. Ben Solak from The Ringer was the first person I heard say this, and I think it is really, really smart. Everyone talks about the 13-second game against the Chiefs kind of breaking the franchise emotionally.
Yeah.
And that there might be some truth to that. I also, now that we have seen how Cincinnati has dominated this team, even if they had won that game, I have no reason to believe at this point they would have then beaten Cincinnati in the next round. So maybe they weren't even a Super Bowl team that year. But more than it defeating the team emotionally, what I have seen from Josh since then, and maybe it does have something to do with the Brian Daboll leaving, is he plays every game like that is the circumstances.
Yeah.
Like we are going to be in a 40-35 shootout, so I've got to take all these chances. Colin, this team's 5-5 and just fired their offensive coordinator. 3 of those losses have come to Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, and the Russell Wilson Broncos last night. I know Russ is playing better. In those 3 games, Colin, Josh has 9 turnovers. He is in all of those games trying to make these hero plays even when the game doesn't call for it. What everyone, well, I shouldn't say everyone, what a lot of people fell in love with Josh is the ability to make those hero plays. What he has shown an inability to do is turn that off and only activate it when necessary. You don't need to make great plays to beat Mac Jones. You don't need to make great plays to beat Zach Wilson in the first game of the year when he didn't think he was going to play. You didn't need to make great plays to win last night when Sean Payton was calling a game that clearly didn't fully trust his offense. You just need to not blow it up. And he doesn't, Tom Brady, your guy a month ago, had Josh on his podcast or on his radio show and said, I've told him, and Josh is on there laughing, smiling with him, I've told him, take the check down, take the easy play, and Josh won't listen. And at some point, the talent can be the talent, but if you refuse to throttle down when necessary, that's why, just think about it, Colin. If you could not turn the ball over against Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, and the Broncos last night, despite all the flaws and injuries, you're 8-2 and in first place in the conference. That's what it is, and that's the problem.
That's good. So I was, I'm not an awards guy, be it Cy Young, Heisman. I love college football. I'm not awards. But I do think Jerry Jones was asked
You don't have a Heisman vote? Sorry to interrupt.
I did.
You don't have a Heisman vote?
I did. I voted for Eric Bieniemy, and they gave it to a BYU quarterback. And at the time, BYU quarterbacks all threw for 1,000 yards a minute. So I was like, okay, this is stupid. If my guy doesn't at least compete. Yeah, I know. And so that's how old I am. And Eric Bieniemy was my Heisman vote.
No, yeah, I know. Running back for Colorado. Of course, I remember. I'm just shocked you don't have a Heisman vote, but go ahead. That's an indignity. That, you know what? I don't take the award seriously anymore. Now that, 900 people got a vote, you don't. You're up here tweeting about late Pac-12 football. But go ahead. I interrupted. Sorry.
So I was thinking about the MVP, and I've always pushed back on the MVP. What does valuable mean? Valuable means you walk out the door and the company's not the same. The Cowboys were 4-1 with Cooper Rush. He's not the most talented guy in his offense. CeeDee Lamb is. I could make an argument because what I believe valuable is that C.J. Stroud, if C.J. Stroud isn't drafted and it's Davis Mills, they're 1-8. This team has a shot in this division to be a wild card team. He's the best player on their offense. First-time coach, first-time play caller, first-time offensive coordinator, offensive line mayhem for a month.
Ton of injuries.
It's like I'm not saying he's the best. I'm talking valuable. C.J. Stroud has completely it's not a well-owned team. We don't know about the front office. It's a rookie everything in coaching.
I agree with all of this. Listen, I'm not ready yet. Well, that part I agree with. I'm not ready yet to say right now he'd be the league MVP. I'll tell you who mine is in a moment at this point. But he is 100% a viable candidate. This is not a situation where they are coaching around their rookie quarterback.
Oh, right.
He is pushing the ball down the field. I know that everybody is, kind of feels like that if Tyler Boyd catches that pass, the Bengals win. I don't know that. Tyler Boyd, there was a minute 45 left. That would have put him up 4. I think C.J. Stroud might have drove them right down the field for a touchdown, the way he drove them down for a field goal, or the way he did it against the Bucs. This is his success is gobsmacking to me, Colin, because I looked at this year's draft class and I said, I guess I would take Anthony Richardson 1 because of the lottery ticket upside, but I didn't think any of these guys were anything close to sure things, and I thought Bryce would not work, and I thought C.J. Stroud was like, okay, he'll be fine. This is shocking.
Yeah.
They had 6 starters out on Sunday. He was great. So he at least is in the first page of the discussion. Here's the guy I would vote right now for MVP, and I want to know what you think. Because I don't want the MVP to become the Heisman, where it's like, all right, who's the quarterback of the best team?
Right.
I know it's become a quarterback-only award. I don't love that. And this year, there is not, to me, one standout quarterback performance. So if there's ever a year to change it up, it would be this year. What about Myles Garrett? He's been dominant every week.
Yeah.
The team has I know Deshaun played well in the second half last week, but the quarterback situation's been in total flux. That the best unit in football this year, offense, defense, special teams, has been the Browns defense. He has been wildly productive. They might win that division. They're certainly a viable playoff team. At week 10, I think you can make a really strong Myles Garrett case as we sit here today.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad take at all. Now, I do think Deshaun felt like he got into a bit of a zone, and he may elevate, and it'll take some of the the glare off of Myles Garrett. But I don't think it's a bad take at all. Well, you ended with a good take. I didn't love the early ones, but I think you ended.
What do you want from me? By the way, even though you put the Chiefs at 1, just America, I'm going to hold my dear friend Colin Cowherd to it. Don't forget, 1 week from today, the rare Nick and Colin double dip. I will be on this show as I am every Tuesday. And if the Chiefs win, the Chiefs have beaten the Eagles. For a couple minutes around 3:15, Colin Cowherd's going to make his first things first debut via satellite. That was agreed to a week ago. Don't you forget, my friend. I will not. I will see you in a week.
All right.
So look at him. He doesn't look thrilled. He doesn't look thrilled about it, I got to say.
Good seeing you, buddy. Nick Wright.
See ya. Bye.
That's next Monday Night Football game, right? Is that Chiefs, Eagles? Boy, that's a good one.
A.K.A. the Kelsey Bowl.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.